Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper, and welcome to another edition of the Hard Truth Show. And guys, I know my face is a little bit smaller today, but I'm trying out some of this new tech, how that StreamYard has updated its streaming and everything. I was tinkering around a little bit with the demo scenes and stuff on it today, and just wanted to see how that would pan out if we wanted to start a couple different ways. But good morning to everybody. Happy Sabbath to everybody. Remember, Sabbath, just keep it. For all those that's keeping the Father's appointed, set apart times, and by his scriptural calendar, happy Sabbath to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I've not been on here, I think, in a couple weeks. I have kind of let the world burn down and see where things are going because we are in some very interesting times. I'm going to actually pop back over to the side here. And today we're going to be talking about the 2 Esdras, chapter 16, and is it at the threshold? And I would very much say so that it is. If you have not read the entirety of the chapter, I'm going to read some excerpts out of it today, but nonetheless, just for time permitting. But if you've not read the chapter, it's free to read. You can Google it. Matter of fact, I'll put a link in the video description below so that you can go read it in absolute full length. You know, now some people may be torn as to. I see that. Yeah, somebody said Sabbath yesterday. Guys, depending on how you observe that from the count off from new moon, I get that. Listen, when Messiah gets back, it's going to all be ironed out. We're all going to be worshiping on his set apart days. We ain't going to have to worry about, hey, was Sabbath yesterday or today based on new moon, based off my observation, blah, blah, blah. Man, these things are all going to be ironed out. All right. So with that said, today's topic is a timely one, for we are living in the last days. I mean, there is no question about it at this point, folks. I mean, it is beyond clear at this point that we are living in the last days, and many people are just not getting with the program, nor do they care about the fact that we're living in the last days. It just seems like that people are content, as World's Last Chance pointed out many years ago, to wake up or to be born, to work, eat, live, sleep, you know, go through the whole motions of life and leave this life and die and never care about eternity. It just definitely seems like that's where we're at. And we are definitely at the point where that, people are given over to their basest desires, sense strong delusion, and have a reprobate mind. And so I want to sound the trumpet today that in my observation, and especially since Elder Joe showed me this probably over a decade ago when me and Brother Joel was talking at a Sabbath fellowship once, and he brought this to my attention. I'll address that comment in just a second. This was an important thing that he brought to my attention years ago, and I just felt it was so imperative for the last days. And sure enough, it's just a little over a decade later, and it looks like this scriptural prophecy is playing out. And I also want to say that for those that say the apocryphal writings and things like that aren't inspired, I absolutely feel that the book of 2nd Esdras is inspired. I stand firmly behind that, believe in that 100%. And that's that. I do want to address one comment real quickly for edification purposes and then move forward. Says, I was confused because I'm following the calendar app you recommend. Just want to honor the Most High correctly. So, and there is nothing wrong with that, guys. We're all making effort. Right here is the calendar app. Let me see. If you don't have the scriptural calendar app, World's Last Chance, it's a great calendar app tool. Based on the further studies that I've discussed with Pastor Taiwo and also with Elder Troy Miller, which just sent him some research, it's becoming more apparent that for the whole world to see the new moon day, that once that has happened, then the following day, going back to work, it puts all the Sabbaths in order. It also lets the eclipses fall in order with them. And it's something to be discussed further in the future. But there is times when World's Last Chance calendar app falls, same as with what we're discussing, and I'll do some more conversations about the scriptural calendar further coming up. But with that said, guys, today, let me scoot out of the way here and let me find the best way for me to hide to the side here. I apologize. Like I said, I'm tinkering with some of these new layouts. Tell you what, we're going to try that for just a second so that I'm off in the corner. I want to give you the most of the screen as possible. Actually, you know what? I can just disappear when I need to. Even better. Love it. Okay. So shout out to StreamYard for the update. Very nice. So today we're going to be discussing 2nd Ezra chapter 16. Is it at the threshold? Is this prophecy taking place now? All right. Now, let me just dip off to the side because I do want to be present with you guys here if I can. I got into a little bit of a tiff with people the other day, and absolutely much loved, y'all. And I am paying attention to the comment section as we go, guys. But I got in a little bit of a discussion the other day on Facebook. Got heated. People actually was name calling me and bashing me, and I was asking an honest question: is that does the president have the authority to just on a whim drop a social media post that, hey, I just bombed another country, right? And based on my understanding of the constitutional law and our government, how it works here in the second beast of Revelation, which is America, I looked it up and I made sure that I wasn't losing my mind. But the president does not have the authority to declare war without the consent of Congress. And so, people were bashing me about the War Powers resolution, but that also does not qualify in this situation as well. But Mr. Orange Man, which I told you all would be a fascist, which I told you all that in my spirit, and I felt the spirit speaking to me, I really believe it was the spirit of the Most High speaking to me, that he would be elected. And I told y'all before he got elected, and he got elected. I told y'all he was going to be a fascist before he became a fascist. And I'm telling you right now that he is absolutely behind the wheel, just being used and doing exactly looks like what needs to be done so that prophecy comes to pass, because the situation in Iran and everything is going to further go down the kaleidoscope into a very bad situation. And so I looked at the War Powers resolution. He didn't have power to do that either. So it was intriguing to me at that point because I was like, impeachment anybody? That's what I asked the question on Facebook, and boy, that really got the Trump supporter people upset, and keep in mind, folks, I'm a libertarian. I didn't care for Kamala or Trump this election cycle. I didn't participate in the election cycle at all because my king is the Most High Yah. But I just, it was imperative to me. He said he was going to be a dictator when he entered the office. He's trying to be king like Putin and Xi. Yeah, I can see that. But the thing is the stuff that's going on in the Middle East now, right? Is that if you look at this grand scale, and we're going to go through this in depth today, but if you look at Iran is like about 2/3 or about a third of the U.S.'s landmass, right? When you really factor that in, I would say it's about a third. So, I mean, there's like 90 million people, I think, in that country, roughly. Of course, all those people took this, the poke. Who knows how many people is going to be left in the world here just in a few more years. The people that's dropping suddenly is just getting more and more by the day. But if you look at, all the stuff that's happened in the Gaza Strip and all the people that's going into Egypt, and then you see all the change up of the regime, I would call, in Syria now, and that overthrow this past winter, and then all that's going on in Iraq, and Iran. These are the ones that's talked about in 2nd Ezra chapter 16 that would be destroyed, right? And we're going to get in scripture in a minute. I've got a bunch of scripture today to go through, but I just want to give you an overview so you can see this like from a tactical battle strategy map, right? And then I want you to keep in mind too that Turkey is very good friends with Russia and borders 3 of these nations. So, like you're going to see a lot of stuff go on in the near future in this region, not to mention Ukraine's just north of Turkey. So there's a lot going on in this region already. All right. This, ladies and gentlemen, people that are passing away right now lived during the generation where they seen the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs. We've never seen this in our lifetime. We've heard talk of it. We've heard threats of it. We've heard discussions of it. We've heard scenarios that can happen of it, but we've never experienced it. But I promise you this much. I am beyond a shadow of a doubt and belief that we will see it in our generation. Now, will we see it here in America? Wouldn't surprise me. But I absolutely would, if we were running the roulette wheel, I'd put all my money on red and put it on the Middle East and give that baby a spin because, number one, I'm not promoting gambling. Father, please forgive me and save me. But I'm just saying the only reason I'd say to do that is because it's a slam dunk. You're going to win because it is inevitable. I just absolutely scratch it up that it is inevitable at this point. Now, I'm going to get off the screen here for a second and let you just see this, is that, as I pointed out in the past, secular too, things, as you can look this up, is the Albert Pike letter to Mazzini. And this was displayed at the British Museum Library up until 1977, they say, and people said they have seen it, but now they deny that it was ever there. But I'm just going to summarize real quickly that, this letter broke down between them, the Masons and the Illuminati, plans for World War I, World War II. And I'm going to leave that up for just a second so that Jens can read that. And of course, you can come back and see it later. But they were breaking down that, they had this overview plan of how they wanted things to pan out in the future, right? But the part that I really want to focus in on is where we are today. The Third World War says must be fomented by taking advantage of the different causes by Edgar and the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. Now, whether you agree with this letter or not, this stuff is literally playing out, just like this letter says. And the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, a Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Now, that's pretty much what's going on in real time. Like, we don't even have to guesstimate on this stuff. Like, we're watching this real time. It's very important because I had somebody comment to me recently, and it really hit me a certain way. As they said, I never share nothing new, but I keep telling you new things are developing with prophetic things that's been around for millennia. I'm sharing it constantly. So I don't know where I'm missing the base here, but I'm literally staying real time on top of this stuff. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. And you're starting to see that and feel that even here in America. We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then, everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. Its manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. This is crazy because, if you think about this paradigm that's being discussed right now and how they want to carry this out, it is actually following by the letter. If you say, hey, this is verifiable and, accurate, well, then they are literally following this to the letter. And so Albert Pike and, oh my gosh, I can't think of homeboy's name right now. This Luciferian, I'm so sorry, guys. It's been a rough work week. But this guy right here that was a sadist and, oh man, this is driving me nuts. I'm so sorry. The one guy to the left is Albert Pike, and the other guy, somebody help me out in the comments for a second. My mind is drawing a blank on it right now. But I was just discussing these guys recently from the Church of Satan. Crowley, Aleister Crowley. Thank you so much, Sandy. I'm so sorry. It's been a very, very busy work week. I've been putting in like 16-hour days, guys. I appreciate you. Aleister Crowley. And then the other guy that was the head of the Anton LaVey, yeah, the head of the Satanic Church. I was just discussing these guys recently because when up on their deathbed, they were like, man, they were like, this is wrong. This ain't right. Something ain't right. And of course, whenever they died, they seen that they absolutely had served the wrong entity, right? And these are two of the biggest sadists that I've ever come across studying about. So like it just goes to show you that like up on their deathbed, this was the things that they were saying gripped them with great fear, right? Yeah, thank you again, Sister Cindy. I am so sorry. I had a real brain fart there for a moment, folks. I apologize. But this entity that, Aleister Crowley saw a long time ago, he described as lamb. Somebody said I went blank also. I swear that's crazy. Another thing too is these people are irrelevant to me. Like I don't think about them. They're not something I try to catalog because they're wicked people. But it is important to remember for the sake of discussion and like moments like this, because like these people are key figures and evils that go on the background. But he said that this is what he saw whenever he was talking to this like entity, right? And so if you look at that, that goes a lot along with the alien agenda and the final card that's going to be dropped. And of course, they said the Light of Lucifer, like this is the things that they want to usher in. So once that they get the second Ezra 16 kind of plays out, it wouldn't be surprising to see the final card be dropped somewhere shortly thereafter that. I really don't expect the final card until after this because you need chaos to bring about order, just like their agenda always is. And this is what was described out right there, right? All right. So in the scripture, real quick, Matthew 24 says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet." So double confirmation scripture there, and a triple in Luke. "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified. These things must be first come to pass, but the end is not yet by and by." Folks, listen, y'all willing the end of the week, and I don't mean to be talking about buying things or doing work on Sabbath, but I just want you to know from a peace of mind on my perspective, at the end of the week, the number one priority I got at the end of this week, y'all willing, is to get a pool put in the backyard. Now, that's for two reasons. One, to actually enjoy right now and try to enjoy what days I have left on this earth, but also to put a pump system in to have a water reservoir here on the farm beyond the well pump, because I don't have a creek running on this land. So, and at least until this place gets sold and I can move to a new farm or something. So literally, like, these things are going to have to come to pass. So you need to live your life in the meantime, and just continue on. It's just how it's got to be, because all these things are going to take place whether we want them to or not. Now, I'm not going to go a ton through Second Esdras. Like I said, it's a long chapter, but I want you to read it in your own time. But the most important segmentation of it, let me see. I want to make sure that I want to read these first three segments of it, and then you can continue your readings afterwards, because the bulk of what we're going to be discussing today is in the first real good portions of it. It's all good, but this is like the deep meat to me. First verse says, "Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia, woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird yourselves with cloths of sack and hair, bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it hath begun to burn?" Now, right before we go to the next scriptures, just point out that Babylon, ancient Babylon, it's modern day Iraq. Asia is modern day Iran. I'm going to prove this to you in a minute, verify it. Egypt is modern day Egypt, and Syria is modern day Syria. Okay. Damascus is there too. It's going to be a ruinous heap. We're going to cover that scripture toward the end today, right? But in real time, we talk about the earthquake. Now, this is important to understand too, because there was an earthquake the other day in Iran. It was like a 5.0 or something earthquake. And of course, there's going to be earthquakes all over the world, and there's starting to be a bunch of them, and volcanoes too, going off like crazy. The earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. The sea arises up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are trouble. Now, keep in mind the waves from the deep. This is like, if you really think about that, I really believe that's describing tsunamis too. And the fishes thereof also before Yahuwah and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Keep in mind, last time I checked, we don't live on a globe, because if the world has ends, it has to be flat and stationary. Just throwing that out there for those that want to hate on us flat earth people under a firmament dome. Matter of fact, it talks more about the flat earth in these scriptures in 2nd Ezra 16. So if you're not a flat earther, you will be triggered. Spoiler alert and warning. Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundations of the earth. All right, last segment of this. Woe is me. Woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? Now, keep in mind, this is very important to understand that when, if you see something wrote twice in scripture, that's very important, right? Very important to understand. And the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. So now, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a lot go on. You know what? Let's read some more of this. I am going to read the rest of this. Just some segments, but like I said, read the whole chapter. Behold, victuals shall be good and cheap upon the earth. Things are still very available on the earth. That they shall think themselves to be in good cause, and even shall evils grow up on earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy, and the dead shall be cast out as dung. I think this is very important to understand right here, because I've wondered why this is the case. Why will the dead be cast out as dung? I have a theory on this second. I just want to read the scripture first. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. And there shall be no man left to till the earth and sow it, the trees that give fruit, and who shall gather them? Now, real quickly to understand on this, is if you have a mass die-off of people, and we all know what catalyst starting in 2019 that was forced upon everybody, try to be forced upon everybody. If you have a massive die-off, and especially looking at the population statistics that it shows coming up for the year ahead that they're projecting, if you have the mass removal of people in the world, then it would not go odd to see that in the future, there's not a lot of people left on the earth. All right. Behold, the Most High knoweth all the works of men, their imaginations, their thoughts, their hearts, which spake but the word, let the earth be made, and it was made. Let the heavens be made, and it was created. In his word were the stars made, and he knoweth the number of them. He searcheth the deep and the treasures thereof. He hath measured the sea and what it containeth. He hath shut the sea up in the midst of the waters, and with his word he hath hanged the earth upon the waters. This sounds to me like flat earth. He spreadeth out the heavens like a vault. Upon the waters hath he founded it. Man. In the desert hath he made springs of water and pools upon the tops of the mountains, upon the floods, that the floods might pour down from the high rocks to water the earth. Guys, I apologize. I am having a struggle reading today, but you got to understand these slides are like squishied where I'm reading them. They're really small. And so I'm trying to get used to the new StreamYard. People's like, what is wrong with Luke today? He cannot read for nothing. But if you just seen the struggle bus I'm on over here trying to read this squishy, it's crazy on the slides. He made man and put in his heart in the midst of the body and gave him breath, life, and understanding. Yea, in the spirit of Almighty Elohim, which made all things and searched out all the hidden things and the secrets of the earth. Surely he knoweth your inventions and what you think in your hearts, and even them, I believe that's in sin, they would hide their sin. Now, I got to tell you that there's also a partner, I believe it is, that it talks about that man will seek out to see another, and there'll be pretty much no one to be found. I don't think I put that slide of that scripture in there, but just read the entire chapter. But you can see there is a time of mass turmoil, mass upheaval of the world, mass upheaval of war, shortness of mankind up on the earth. And I really feel like all those check boxes are getting close into place. Just take a break for a second. If you really start taking and check boxing these things off, it's now more than ever that it makes sense, better than ever before in the history of humanity, ever. Okay. Just want to point that out. All right. And also, and the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings of the east. Revelation 16 and 12. The river Euphrates is massively drying up, right? It at least the one that is viewed as the river Euphrates in the Middle East. Some people view Mississippi in the U.S. as the river Euphrates, but it's also had some issues too. So, I mean, one way or another, you want to calculate this thing. Things aren't looking good on either one of them rivers if you view America as ancient Israel, which there is those that view that. And I'm not arguing with people. We're all this stuff's going to be sorted out when Messiah comes back. But I asked AI or asked Google, and the AI overview thing, because I just want to use AI against itself when I can. That the river Euphrates is indeed facing challenges and could potentially dry up in the future. Several factors contribute to this risk, including climate change, blah, 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 blah. They say, there you go. It is drying, right? But the interesting thing to me is I think I've seen recently from 2030, as early as 2030 to dry up, as 2040, which means I'm 40 right now, so I'd be 45. Yeah, I'm being like maybe in my 50s by the time at the max this thing finally washes out, right, dries out. If at the maximum projection in 2040, but I mean they're saying it could literally be dry because the rain issues over there, the dams being built, there's a lot of contributing factors, and the water's just getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And I think the Tigris is also having issues too. But sorry, if you're seeing this image blurred, but you got this situation going on in Ukraine, and right below it, like literally right below it, there is Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran. You've got all this going on. And, when you look at the former Soviet Union, I don't know what Putin's play is at the end of the day, but I really feel like he wants to regather Russia back to its original boundaries. I believe that is his ultimate power play. And regardless, is a lot going on where that Iran, Russia, and Turkey are really beginning to be buddies. And this was as far back as 2021. And you can see there's a lot in the works, absolutely a lot in the works moving forward. And as we begin to look at these countries, right, because I put the 4 countries flags up so that we can really deep dive into these today to kind of see what we're dealing with, is if you look at Iraq first, okay, in the Middle East, whenever they was conflict in the past and we fought in the Middle East, then there was elements that I would say that was left behind that I'm going to zoom this in right here so that we can see this better on the screen. Yeah, let me get it right there. Let me see if I can see that better now. Nice. They is a YouTube video that you can go watch, and I'll put all these links in the video description after the stream, guys. Is that the Iraqi militia is talked about that if this is going to spill over into that region, no matter what, that like when this thing pops off, it's going to spill off in that region. And sure as the world, if you look at it, that is spilling over, going to spill up. I mean, it's already, there's missiles being shot across from there. I mean, like there's a lot of stuff going on right now. And, Iraq has already been just absolutely obliterated during the Iraqi war years ago. And, when you look back and you think about these empires too, just before we get into the depth of all of them and where they're at right now, Babylon, the Medo-Persian Empire, Egypt, even the Phoenician Empire and up toward that way where Syria is. I mean, like all these empires, these countries have been around for a long time, a long time. And, they have a grand history throughout scripture has spoke of these countries and what would come to pass with them. And so when, you go to talking about Iran, the interesting thing to me was that, let me see, I got to remove this one off to add this one again. Yeah. Is that, I think I shared this on Brother Joel and Akeen's stream sometime back when we were all talking about this, is that, is the U.S. about to go to war? That one right there was dated 3rd of April of 2025. They were talking about B-2 bombing the place all the way back of that. Like this has been a conversation for a while. And, like I was saying, let me see if I can scroll this on up. Yeah, Iran wants war with the United States. U.S. began preparing for a war with Iran. Warplanes rushed the Middle East. I mean, guys, this has been in the works for a minute, and I know the direction it's headed. And based on scripture, we know that these lands are going to be laid waste. Like if you live in Egypt, Iraq, Iran, or Syria, man, you need to be getting out of Dodge. Thanks, Cindy. Yeah. I can't remember the Shabbat talk where it was, but by the way, this is the 100th stream that I have done on this channel of the Hard Truth Show, and I'll be darned if it ain't something that we're talking about this particular topic on the 100th live stream that I've ever done. I thought that was something really wild. Just a quick notation on that. 7 wars in 5 years. Our military heads have this planned and talked about. Oh, that was another thing too. Yeah, is that when I pointed out the other day to people, I was like, so about that thing where that they Trump said no new wars, right? I was just curious about that, because the last I checked, now we're definitely in another war. But you've got Iran that they bombed the other day, and you're going to see this country, Iraq, Syria. I mean, like Burden of Damascus says, it'll be a ruinous heap. Okay, like that city will be no more. So I mean, like you have this, and then you have Egypt in the mix too. These countries literally are being hashed off in 2nd Esdras chapter 16. And, for people that's like, well, Iran isn't Asia, right? Right. Asia is like over there with the Chinese or the Russians. Yes, that's correct. In ancient times, the region of present day Iran was known as Persia. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. It has been a long run on the Hard Truth Show. I can't remember exactly when I started, but we've definitely hammered it down through the years by the grace of y'all. I really gonna have to go back and look and see just how far back it has. We may have to do next stream to celebrate and cover some highlights of some of the best ones. But it was dominant power in the Western Asia for over a millennia. Okay, saw the rise of empires. I mean, like I said, these countries have been around for millennia, folks. And so when we know for a fact that this is what is described in ancient times as Asia, is Iran, right? Then it really clarifies for us that we know that Babylon rests in Iraq, Asia is Iran, Egypt is Egypt, and Syria is Syria. So we have a clarification there that is very paramount, because this is where I struggle when people say, that America is ancient Israel and is the ancient lands, and that this has all just been manufactured over there. The problem is that there's a lot of things that line up over there. And so I get the conversations, I get the conflicts of interest. I mean, just like in Mount Babel in Canada, I think it's in the book of Yesher, talks about it's a 3-day journey around was a 3-day walk around the ruins of Babel, Tower of Babel. And if you walk around that area up there in Canada on foot, it's a 3-day walk. Somebody's measured it out with a little Google measuring tool. And it's like a 3-day walk around that. And it's called Mount Babel in Canada. And they found, ancient, what was it? It was a cylinder scroll, and stuff. And just interesting things. But I get it. I get it. Very, very, very many conversations to come for these things. But in the meantime, when we discuss Egypt, right? You have a lot going on right now where that you have Israel, all these people being expelled from the Gaza Strip. Guess where they're going to? Egypt. And when we look at the slide right here, Hamas said to respond positively to Egyptian proposal. Israel denies receiving terms. This was a news article from the Times of Israel a while back that I had shared on a stream with Keen and Joel about the people coming to Egypt. And I think that what will happen is that what went on in Gaza will spill over into Egypt, and then Egypt will be drawn into this thing. It's just going to be a wild ride in the years ahead, especially what was it 2011, the Arab Spring. It's going to be an interesting ride ahead to see what all takes place in the future with these countries, because you can see the conflicts that are already inside them and that is to come. And then you see the Middle East with America's troop presence built up in it in the future. It's going to be wild to see what transpires between that too. All right, now moving forward, when we talk about Syria, right? You're looking at that situation now. Aleppo has already been blown to bits. You have further south, Damascus. It's going to be a ruinous heap. That is a fact. That is what the word says. When you look at it, it's northeast of Israel. It's southwest of Iraq. And right now, that is kind of in between the area of where all this missile barrage and combat and conflict is going on too, toward Israel. And if you look right here, the regime change that took place right here, that was something that was discussed greatly in the past because Syrian government, Assad, is no longer in charge. That ended, and his rule of his family for the past 50 years, that's a done deal. So you have a whole new element running the show up in Syria. So, I mean, it's, what was that? We fought, what was it they said? The U.S. government fighting to remove the Al-Qaeda from Afghanistan just for it to be turned around and given back to Al-Qaeda or something like that. I think what it was. And it's like Syria fighting to remove a regime just so you can replace it with probably even a worse regime now. So like there's going to be some interesting things, pop off in Syria. It's going to be wild to see how that reconfigures on the chart here very soon too, because that the elements that took that over are going to have their own agendas, and they're probably going to make their own allegiances, which, Turkey and Iraq and Iran and a lot of these bordering countries, they will probably be very friendly to. So like based on what we see with scripture, you can tell, you can kind of see between world events, the news, between the actions these countries are taking and between biblical prophecy, you can kind of start to draw some check boxes and lines as where we're arriving at on these things. And, Damascus one day will be no more. And for sure that considering up on 2nd Ezra chapter 16, where that we're warned that the beginning of sorrows is when we see these things beginning to take place to these nations. And then a parallel to that, I would say, is whenever you read Isaiah chapter 17, this is the burden against Damascus. Behold, Damascus is no longer a city. It has become a ruinous heap, or will become a ruinous heap, Isaiah 17. So is going to be, this is going to be some interesting things to see in the very near future. And I think that it is paramount that we stay vigilant and watch. I'm not saying to turn the news on and absorb it 24/7 a day. But, the interesting thing is you've got a bunch going on at once. You've got the River Euphrates drying up. I was going to talk about Palantir or whatever I think it was, that this new AI thing, and of course, that AI is supposed to be unchecked from government and state and federal for the next 10 years, which is plenty enough time to create Terminator bots and blow the world up 10 times over and everything else. That was kind of what I was going to talk about the next time I jumped on a live stream with you. But now all this went on in the Middle East, I couldn't help but discuss 2nd Ezra chapter 16. And with everything that's cooking off, especially with Iran, I'm wondering if the fuse has already been lit for 2nd Ezra chapter 16 prophecy to take place. I feel that personally that the fuse has been lit. That's why I'm discussing this at great length again, because this is something I've covered multiple times now through the years on my own channel and others. But it's very important to me. Very important to me. I feel like that if you look at the River Euphrates drying up, you look at 2nd Ezra chapter 16, you look at Isaiah 17, you look at the fact of the growth of AI, you look at the fact that the presence in Africa of so many other countries and the meshing together of them and unification, it makes a good, clear case for why they would want to cross the River Euphrates to come over to them, because there'd probably be military interest in that later, or either military conflict and they need to protect their interests. I personally feel that this is in motion at this point. The 2nd Ezra chapter 16 is in motion. It is moving. Now, at the speed and rate all this takes place, is it days? Is it weeks? Is it months? Is it years? I don't know. But, one thing is for sure is that the River Euphrates has a deadline. It's somewhere between 2030 and 2040. They're pretty confident that it's going to be dried up. So you have that in play. You have war being conducted right now in the Middle East. You have Orange Man, the sovereign of this nation that I live in right now. You have him conducting war without the approval of Congress and entering us into another conflict, even though that there would be no new wars. I wish I had a little clip of I could play of him saying, "Hey, no new wars." Well, here we are, and so just waiting it out to see this all transpire is going to be an interesting ride, because you have the volcanoes, you have the earthquakes in the ocean, the earthquakes abroad on the world. It's just going to be a wild ride in the years ahead, guys. And man needs to stay vigilant and watch carefully the activities that transpire in Egypt, Iran, Syria, and Iraq. Did I say that right? Egypt, Iraq, Iran, and Syria. Those are the 4 that you need to be mindful of, because whatever goes down over there, mark it in your books. The scripture says in 2nd Ezra chapter 16, that's the beginning of sorrows. And that's really all that matters then, day, because we know at that point, whatever's going to go on from there ain't going to be good. And I agree with this comment very much. They emphasize the year 2030 a lot, so I figured something will be done by that time. I agree. I'm really looking toward between 2027 and 2030. Those years should be very intriguing to watch, because I think that whatever's going to pop off with AI unleashed off the chain, they're going to get it gone by then. Because 2015, I've shared those articles in the past where they said by 2025 we'd have AI, and here we are, 2025, and stuff's going wild. I mean, they have everything from AI kill bots and dogs to AI love bots and housemaids that look like real people. I mean, it's getting wild out here. So, there's that part. So yeah, you definitely got that in the mix. And then with the situation with the River Euphrates, and then that gives plenty of years for these regimes to get set up or change, for governments to topple and fall, or CIA to go topple them, and for war to continue to break out. And these people are going to wire themselves down. And keep in mind that while wiring themselves down, based on what the letter is between the Illuminati and the Freemasons, is that, economically would whittle down a lot of other nations too. So we have that on the menu too. So it's just a lot to be mindful of as we move forward. But what is exciting, it's terrifying and exciting at the same time, is that we are progressing with biblical prophecy. Like, for those, I guess my last premise I would drop today before close is that I'm catching a lot of grief nowadays for not supporting preterism, and that we're living in Satan's little season. People won't. I don't know what it is, but I think people just like want to dog me for not supporting Satan's little season. But I cannot get off on that. I cannot step off at the train station platform with that, because I'm seeing the things that were prophesied to take place before Messiah's return taking place in real time, where I can see with my own eyes that the Most High is granted me by His grace. Like, I'm watching you and me watching real time prophecy take place, and then you're wanting me to believe that Messiah's already come. Say, the millennial kingdom is here, and we're sitting in Satan's little season. I'm like, well, then what the flip is this? Like, what are we doing? We just we doing a copy of what already took place before? Like, I am so confused with my life right now. Like, please, somebody help me make it make sense. Like, seriously. And I'm not trying to beat up on brothers and sisters that believe that we're in Satan's little season. I mean, heck, at least people's believing that we're in the end days, or even further along in the end days. I guess that's somewhat better than believing pre-tribulation rapture doctrine, but I cannot get with that program. Okay. And I've spent hours and hours of study on that, and watching videos of people presenting their findings on that and their correlations. And I'm like, I still, for the life of me, I cannot get with that program. So, it will be interesting to be alive in the days and weeks and months and years ahead. Y'all willing, if we can watch this thing. And I ask all the time, please let me live to see His return and be gathered in the new kingdom and have peace, and live forever. And I really hope that I can have that. And we all need to be working toward cleaning up our lives and making it as proper as possible, to keeping the commands, Shabbat, statutes, judgments, new moons, appointed times of worship. We really need to be focusing on honoring the Father while this whole thing burns down. Because I'm not worried about being part of this age anymore. I just really want to be part of the world that which is to come. Guys, the only solution for these problems is the new kingdom. That is the only solution for this world. And that is going to be a ministry point that I constantly try to hammer out from now on. The new kingdom is the only solution. It is the final solution. So, guys, as always, till we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel, I hope the Most High Yah baruch you and keep you, make His face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends, in Yahushua name. And guys, once again, thank you for supporting me over the years. It's awesome to know that we're at 100 live streams on the Hard Truth Show. And y'all willing, I plan to be here with you for a long time to come. But guys, make sure to check all the links in the video description. I'll have that loaded up a little bit later. And until next time, hope the Most High baruch you greatly.